Murus, the platformer without platforms, is our upcoming submission for the Australian STEM Video Game Challenge. In a world where the grass has been cursed, the earth has been ruptured to create airborne settlements. You control the remaining heroes as they scale walls across many locations in order to collect all the orbs to restore balance. The initial prototype for Murus was made with simple geometric rectangles, testing out the core concept of the game before we invested time into the assets. Is a platformer without platforms fun? After testing and fine-tuning the concept, the answer was a hearty yes. Murus is to feature a huge campaign with many built-in levels, however its main allure is the custom content. The game features a built-in level editor where users can create and share their own levels and maps. All the campaign levels in Murus are made using the level editor so the players can create anything their heart so desires. Upon testing the game, players were really pushing Murus to its limits, establishing an immediate speedrunning community, prompting us to integrate time and speedrunning into the game itself. Murus' whole gimmick is that you scale walls instead of walking on platforms, but how did this originate? What is a typical hindrance to platforming games, wall friction, was actually the catalyst for the core of Murus' player movement. Players grip to the sides of walls and cannot slide up them, instead they must scale them via arcing wall jumps. Originally, if a player attempting to jump while gripping onto a wall, the player's jump would be lost and they would remain stationary, but we've since made it so no jump input is detected unless the player is moving in a direction opposite to the held wall. We can do this by grabbing the collision direction of the player whenever it collides with the wall, comparing the direction of the normal of the collision to the direction of the player's input. This is also how we determine death conditions. There is no special hitbox on top of the walls. We simply grab the normal of the collision and see if the Y component is negative and that its magnitude is less than or equal to that of the X component.
When considering a visual style for Murus, we had to keep in mind the fundamentals, that being its tight gameplay and room for precise competitive playthroughs. As a result, we decided that the visual clarity and player communication is of our utmost priority, executing this with our hitboxes matching the sprite shapes as sharply as possible. Though just the same as our other aspects of our visuals, these can be tweaked for player preference. This prompted the presence of a fairly squarish shape language, which combined with a broad palette and use of dithering effects, make for a unique looking platformer. These platform assets are 100% tileable and are skinned according to its effect and behavior.
Checkpoints. In Murus' Apprentice difficulty, players have the ability to place one flag per level, serving as the checkpoint for all progress up to the flag's placing. If the player dies, the level returns to the state it was in when the flag was placed. But how do we do this? All actions that impact external world objects are stored in a list titled Game Actions, which is cleared whenever the player dies. This list stores the references to the impacted objects. When a flag is placed, all the elements in the game actions are moved over to a new list called Saved Actions, which are not cleared upon death. All the objects part of this list then run functions to store their relevant state data, such as picked up or not picked up for orbs, or position and velocity data for the balloons. Upon dying, all the objects that are contained within the Saved Actions list reset their values to the values saved at the time of placing the flag. When the flag is picked up, all items from the Saved Actions list are simply moved back to the Game Actions list. Speaking of balloons, the air balloon tile is one of the more interesting ones in the game, as it allows the player to navigate the map with great reach. While the player weights the balloon down, altitude can be gained by only making contact with the balloon with upwards velocity. All that's required is enough of a free radius around the balloon for the player's arcing jumps, and they can ride them wherever they so wish. Because of this, many of the levels are based around funneling balloons through confined areas. The basket decoration on the balloon also doesn't come attached to the tileable sprite. Instead, it is instantiated on level load, as its position needs to be anchored to the bottom center of the balloon with no tiling no matter its dimensions. We simply grab the height of the instantiated balloon, halve it, and Bob's your uncle. Did you guys like this mini chapter mashup type video? Let us know in the comments down below, and remember to join the community over in the Discord server. As always, stay groovy. Thank you very much to our patrons, Ryan, Josley, Rossley in the Square tier, and Jack and Drew 67 up in the Tesseract tier, helping us, as always. Thank you very much. Not possible without you guys.